Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. So today we continue to discuss about the life of Buddha. So last time we talked about the relationship uh, that the Buddha advised to the young man, and we have discussed about the relationship between the parents and children, teacher and student, parents and friends. Uh, so now we continue to discuss the Buddha advice about the relationship between wife and husband. So this is very important that especially when we have wedding ceremony, we provide this kind of advice to the newly Buddhist couples. So, according to the Buddha advice, he mentioned that a husband should take care of his wife by showing her respect, uh, being courteous toward her, be faithful to her, hand over authorities of household management, and provide her with gifts. So here you see that Buddha's advise the husband uh, certain behavior and attitude as well as the action toward his wife. That especially the husband need to respect his own wife and take care of her. And in return, the wife should fulfill her obligations towards her husband uh, by performing her household duties, other responsibilities, show hospitalities to the relatives in both sides, be faithful to him, watch over the goods within home, and being skillful and diligent in all duties. So in the past, in the agriculture tradition, most of the time the men went out to work on the field, and they're the one that bring uh, the goods, salaries, and things to the house. Um, so the wives need to take care of those things on their husband behalf. So of course it's quite different nowadays. Many couples they go out to work, and many of them share the equal responsibilities toward the families, the children. Uh, so no matter what, in this sense, and Buddha advise the husband and wife should respect each other as well as caring for each other while fulfilling their obligations as a spouse. And move further, the Buddha advised how lay people uh, relate to the Sangha. There is the Buddhist monastic communities of monks and nuns. So the Buddha advised us the lay people should show respect to the Buddhist monastic communities by kind action, speech, and thoughts, keeping open house for them and support them the basic uh, things in Buddhist traditions. The monastic Buddhist communities of monks and nuns uh, just need to have the four basics things to survive, like the food, drink, shelters, clothes, and medicine. and for the lay people, they just need to support the monastic communities of those portals. And of course, in return, the monastic communities have the obligation to care for the lay people by giving the advice and counsel about not doing wrong things and guide those lay people to do good things, to think compassionately, as well as teaching them things that they should know, and of course to clarify whatever that they have known and show them to the path to the human and heaven. This means the monks and nuns have the obligation to guide the lay people to live virtually, ethically, and respectfully. And the Buddha advised the lay people while they revolve in the samsara or the birth cycle. It's better to trade the blessing so that they could be born as human or in the celestial realms. So that is the obligation of the monks and nuns to have to guide the lay people to follow the 5 precepts: no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, no taking intoxicants, and to practice generosity so that they can gain sufficient good karma to be reborn as human again, or to be born in some levels of heavens. Again, in Buddhist view, there's many levels of heavens, many different types of heavens, not one heaven, not one supreme God. And of course, those celestial beings, they may have long lifespan. Sometimes they may live up to 1,000, 100,000, billion, even billion years in their lifespan, but eventually nothing lasts forever. They may evolve in this cycle of rebirth according to their own karma. They may be born as human again. They may be born in different realms of celestial beings, and they may be born as animals or even further to the hell, depend upon their own karma. So basically, the Buddha encouraged lay people to do good deeds so that they could obtain the human life again, or being born in some type of celestial realms to enjoy life. Of course, for those who want to get out of the birth cycle, they may join with the monastic order to focus on the spiritual path by doing meditation until they could transform all the mental affliction to reach nirvana, as being at the state of the utmost stillness, and they would not be reborn in the cycle of rebirth anymore. So this depends upon the wish of every individual. So the next relationship is the relationship between the employers. So here the Buddha provide the guidelines that employers or the owners should treat their employees properly by assigning them the work according to their strength, supplying them with food and wages, paying them in sickness, sharing special tricks with them, and letting them live from time to time. So here, how the employees or the employers or the owners should treat their own employees, the workers, that they need to respect their employees. They need to assign their workers according to their skill, experience, and knowledge. They need to provide food and wages. And even when they sick, the owners, the employers should take care of them, and they should provide some kind of sick leaves from time to time. That's according with the modern age approach that every employees need to have certain kind of vacation and sick days to take care of their own health, as well as their family members if they need. And in return, the employees or the workers should work early and finish late according to the schedule. They should be content with what is given. They should do their job well and promote the good company reputation. Here, the Buddha say clearly that as the workers, they should fulfill their responsibilities to start early and finish late. Otherwise, the company may go out of business if they are lazy, and they should be content. They should perform their job well, and they should promote the good distribution of the companies. So they should promote the company's reputation. They need to support the cause of the companies of their employers. So these are the relationship that the Buddha provide to this young man in life, because as long as we live in the world, we need to connect with other people. We have a certain type of relationship. So these are the advice that the Buddha gave to us, so that we can know how to behave ourselves and how to deal other people. Okay, so that is the teaching of the Buddha to the young man, especially for the lay communities. So that's when the Buddha met this young man on the street, and he bowed in six directions, and according to that work of this young man, the Buddha provided this type of teaching. He did not discourage the young man to bow in this direction, but he elaborate and explain further the meanings of bowing in this direction, so that the young men could follow. And again, he provided this kind of teaching not only for these young men, but also for the lay communities. Why he stay at the Bamboo Grove Monastery, and so in that time, during that time, the king Suddhodana, he knew that the young prince have attained the enlightenment, so he really wished his son, Prince Siddhartha, to come back to the palace to visit him and his relatives. So, according to the annals of Buddhism, there's many important events related to the life of Buddha, and it mentioned about one particular event that 7 years after they left the royal palace. So again, the King Suddhodana, he sent his ambassadors to visit the Buddhas at the Bamboo Grove Monastery and invite him to visit his country and palace again. So according to the history, it said that the king Suddhodana sent an envoy with 1,000 men to invite the Buddha back to his city, Kapilavastu, and nowadays in the southern part of Nepal. But the envoy did not return because whenever they went to see the Buddha, all of them follow the Buddha to become the Buddhist monks. So most of them could not remember their mission that was based upon them by the king Suddhodana to invite the Buddha back to his kingdom. But the king Suddhodana never gave up his mind. So he gave from one delegation to another delegation, in total 9 delegations to the Raja Jaha, the Bamboo Grove Monastery, to invite the Buddha coming back to his kingdom, to visit the king as well as the relatives. So again, most of them became monks after they listened to the Buddha teachings, and most of them could not remember to convey the message of the king Suddhodana to invite the Buddha going back to the kingdom. So finally, the king Suddhodana sent his most trusted officers, Kaludai, who was a prince of Prince Siddhartha when he was young. So these officers, minister, agreed to take up that mission, and he also asked the king permission that after he conveyed that message, he could be able to become monks to follow the Buddha teaching, and he was approved by the King Suddhodana, and for this trip, the princess Yasodhara also sent Jana, the Buddha attendants, when he was prince, to accompany Kuruda to make sure that they should convey the king message to invite the Buddha back to the country. And so when both them together with the whole groups to visit the Buddha, they listened to the teachings, and Kaludam also asked the Buddha to order him as a monk, and soon later he attained arhatship, but he conveyed the message of the King Suddhodana to invite the Buddha back to his kingdom to visit his ancient fathers, Suddhodana, and relatives. So the Buddha first said, yes, I will come back to my kingdom, but wait for the rainy season end. And after that, I will go. So after that rainy season, the Buddha accepted his father's invitation, and he, together with a large group of monks, about 20,000 monks, to walk from the city Raja Jahan to his kingdom palace to visit his fathers and relatives. So at that time, when the Buddha and the groups of monks reached the city, all the members of the court went out to greet the Buddha, but they so proud that they didn't venerate the Buddhas. They just advised the junior one to worship the Buddha. So with the Buddha divine eyes, he realized how proud the second class were. So that's why the Buddha used his second power to dispel the proud of those seconds, because in their eyes, at that time the Buddha is still young. For them, they are old, so they supposed to be respected. So that's why the Buddha performs what we call the twin miracles. And here I want to share with you the short video clips. I mean that the animation about these twin miracles and the raining of the red water. When the Buddha went back to the city Kapilavastu, and because the second everyone's, so the Buddha performs this kind of twin miracles. If flew up to the air with their surprise. And this is the king
And the seeker hermit bowed to him.
Suddhodana.
At that time, I also paid homage for the first time. 7 years later, during the royal plowing ceremony, my son sat in meditation, and the rose apple tree shaded him throughout the afternoon, its shadow not shifting with the course of the sun. Witnessing this, I paid respects to my son for the second time. Now on this occasion, a truly wonderful marvel has appeared. May I take this opportunity to express my veneration for the third time.
So here let's show how the king about the Buddha when he was born, when he sat in the Buddha tree. On down the sky.
This is Buddhist Lesson. Perfect rain. Unlike ordinary rain, it soaks only those who wish to be soaked hard. For those who wish to remain dry, every drop will roll right off, just like water drops roll off of a lentil slip. My father and relatives, this is not the first time this red rain has fallen upon such an assembly of relations. In the past, when I was born as Vesantara, Pokaravasa also rained down on a congregation of myself and my relatives. Listen, all of you. Whoever upholds morality will have happiness in this world and the next.
Okay, so you see that here, the Buddha explained how the red water rained down from the sky, and they mentioned that in the past it happened according to the story that in the past he was called the let me share with you here. So in the past, he was called the Ben Santara. In the Ben Santara, Chakata mentioned about the King Suddhodana and his relative, the seconds. And it said that according to this Visatara Chakata, that means the past life story of the Buddha, the Chakata, and the Visatara is his name in the past. It says that in the past, he was a righteous, a virtuous prince, and his fathers behind and passed along the throne to him. So he run the country with his all power and virtue. So in the kingdom, there was a white elephant. That is the sign of the prosperities of the kingdom. but the young king, Tandra, made a vow as he could give anything that people want to have. And so one day, this was a groups of envoys from the kingdom Kalinda. They came to visit the young king and asked if the young king could give them the white elephants so that they could bring the access size to the country to dispel any nature disaster. So the young king agreed to give them the white elephants, and it make the officers and ministers in the court being angry, and so they report to the king, his fathers, that the king need to banish the young king because he didn't care much about their well-being. So the king, that's mean his father, listened to those ministers, and yes, he banished his son, but he sent his son to other place to live. So he gave him all kind of treasures so that he could survive. But for this young king, even he was banished by his fathers, he is still happy, and he did not have any resentment toward his fathers. So according to his vows, whoever came to him and asked for help, he would help them out. And whoever asked anything, he would give to them. And so on a long way to destination of that mountains, the mountain that the old king designated for him to live. So he gave all his treasures to the people who came up and asked for. Even he gave them the horse carriers. And so he went there to the mountain to live in seclusion with his wife and 2 children. And so there's a lot of story about how he even gave his children to others people, but eventually his children was given back to his fathers, and later on he came back to run the kingdom again because of his good karma. So that's why he mentioned that when he went back to run the country again, so there was a raining of the red waters. That's a similar event that when the Buddha went back to visit his father's kingdom. So that's why he mentioned about this. So at first, when the Buddha, together with his monks, went back to his kingdom, no one would know how to make offerings to the Buddha in his monastic communities of monks. So that's why the Buddhas and his monks went from house to house on the street with the bowl in the hand to seek for alms. So at that time, the king Suddhodana, he was very upset because somehow he thought that the Buddha asked the prince in his own eyes. Buddha still was considered as his son. So that's why the king Suddhodana, he was very upset because making the food as the way to disgrace the royal families. So when the king Suddhodana approached to the Buddha, and he said that your action is considered as disgraceful toward our royal families. So that's not the custom of the warrior lineage. But the Buddha say, the father, this is my usual custom. I follow the custom of all the Buddha in the past. It's quite different from the royal family custom. That's why I follow that custom to go out to beg for food on the street as the Buddha is in the past. And he mentioned the verses who dwell in the Dharma is happy in this birth and the next. At that time, somehow, because of the love toward his son, King Suddhodana attained the first stage of arhatship that led him to Nirvana. So the king took the boys from the Buddha and led them, that means all the monks, to the palace and served them the meal. And after the meal, the Buddha preached them the teaching that relate to how to live a righteous, virtual life, so that they could enjoy the life now and later on. So the king Suddhodana listened to the Buddha's sermon teaching. At that moment, he attained the second stage of arhatship, and the queen Mahapajapati, that's his aunt, the one that raised him on behalf of his mom. So this queen still attained the first stage of arhatship too. So at that time, when the Buddha teach to the king, the queen, and his royal families, but the princess Yasodhana did not come out to pay respect to the Buddha. She remained in her apartment rooms, assumed that the Buddha would pay visit to her. If she's sincere and genuine and virtual. So on hearing that, the Buddha went to visit the princess Yasodhana with his two main disciples, Shriputra and Moggallana. So at that moment, Yasodhana was so emotional, and she bowed underneath of the Buddha's feet. So the king Suddhodana mentioned that when the prince Siddhartha left the palace, whichever thing she heard from him when he practiced self-torture, when he keep his diet. She followed him at the palace too. She did not wear any perfumes and so forth. She remained faithful toward the Prince Siddhartha. So that's why the King Suddhodana highly praised his beautiful daughter-in-law. And so at that time, the Buddha cite the story of the past, Chanda Kinara Jagatha, as illustrate how much affection Yasodhara has toward the Buddha, not in this birth, but also in the previous lifetime. And later on, we know that when the King Suddhodana passed away, both the Princess Yasodhara and the Queen Mahapajapati went to see the Buddha and became nun. And later on, they attained arhatship. So while he was staying at the palace, on the second day, the Buddha met his stepbrother, the Prince Nada, the one that just got married. And so out of respect, the Prince Nada followed the Buddha, and later on he was ordained as a monk. According to the story, that Prince Nada, he just got married and he missed his wife so much. Even he respected Buddha, wished and guidance for him to become a monk. So he spent his time thinking about his newly wives. So the Buddha knew what's going on in Nanda mind. So according to legend, they say that one day the Buddha walk with Nanda on the street, and somehow they encounter a monkeys that jump around the branches, and the Buddha point out the monkey and ask Nanda, who is more beautiful, your wife or monkey? And of course, Nanda, he mentioned that definitely my wife is much beautiful than that monkey. So at that time, the Buddha used his psychic power to bring Nanda to the celestial realms to view the beauties of those celestial realms with all kind of female angel celestial beings. And the Buddha asked Nanda that who are more beautiful, your wife or those female celestial beings? And so Nanda mentioned that definitely those female celestial beings are more beautiful than my wife. And Buddha said that if you cultivate well, eventually you could be born in this heaven to enjoy your life with those beautiful female celestial beings. And so he went back to practice meditation with that intention to enjoy life with those female celestial beings. And nowadays, the Buddha brought him to visit a hell, and in that hell there was a burning place, the place that burning the waters, boiling waters. So the hell beings that burning that water mentioned to Nanda that we waiting for Nanda, the Buddha questions after he enjoyed his life in the heaven with all celestial female beings, he would create some kind of karma and be born here in the hell. We bore him. So at that time he's so frightened and went back to the Buddha. And from that time on, he didn't have any mind to think about his wife, to think about the cultivation so that he could be reborn in the celestial beings, celestial realms, to enjoy with female celestial beings. And he just focused on his personal cultivation through meditation, and soon later he attained arhatship. So since time is up today, let me stop here, and we discuss further how the Buddha taught his relative at his own kingdom. Nam Mô Shakyamuni Buddha.